Welcome to Tuesdays, Scrap with Denise, and we are working on project recipe 10 today. So let's just give this a minute for people to join us. So again, my name is Denise Cowell. I'm from Ormond Beach, Florida, a creative memories advisor. And again, as I said, we are here for the 52 weeks of scrapbooking project recipes. We are on week 10, project recipe 10. So let me change to my desktop and let's get started today. Just want to make sure this has gone live before I get too far into things. There we go. Okay, so the first thing that we do is we compare the original project recipe, which is Lullaby Lane, which again you will find on my Scrapbook with Denise Facebook page. And if you don't know how to get there, please reach out to me so that I can get you that link and get you as part of that group. So, and when we look at the project recipe, the only difference that I see is for G and H, which is going to be reversed. So when we put those together, we'll review that. Okay, so what you're going to need today, you're going to need all three of your circle custom cutting system, all three of your blades. We're going to be using all of those. Actually, I think we only use red and blue, but I have them all out here ready to go. You are going to need a chain style border maker with your border maker system. As always, your 12-inch trimmer. And for paper, I do have a layout underneath here I want to show you to give you some tips as we're cutting. But for your paper, let's talk about that first. You are going to need 2 pieces for your base page. And today I am using Vivid Melodies. I'm using the butterscotch. So these are going to be my base page. Might not be able to see them. That is, they have little dots on them, orange and yellow. Again, this is going to be for some of my flower pictures from when we were in France. You're going to need 3 designer papers, and we are going to be using the reverse of some of them. All right, so let me show you before I start cutting the layout that I kind of did as my trial layout because I haven't done this project recipe before. So some tips when we're doing this one. And I haven't got this attached yet. I would recommend if you are making the mats that you label them because they're only 1/4 of an inch different and it'll cut down on our time. And then we'll go through some tips of cutting these and putting these circles together. We're going to do that after we cut everything. So I am going to use these for when I cut my mats. And this one's not put together yet because I don't know if I want to use the white or if I want to see if I can find a different pattern for the back. So I'm just going to put those aside and we will get out our instructions, and I'm going to actually use the books. When we're going through these, there's a lot of instructions on how to cut all these circles for them to work. So hopefully when I get to that, it'll make some sense because there's a lot of circles and we're going to cut that at the end. So I'm going to put my 2 base pages away. And then I have my papers number 1, number 2, and number 3 already labeled. And some of them we are going to have to watch the directions on. So let's start with paper number 1. And this, as we go and look, is the coral color. This is what's going to go across our pages. So again, if you have directional, make sure when you're cutting that we're going across the page. And this one I don't think has a direction. And even for the reverse, if I use that for another project, it doesn't have a direction really. I just think I like it this way. So I'm going to cut it with my top on the left-hand side. And we are going to cut that at 5 by 12. And we're going to cut 2 that are 5 by 12. And this is pieces A and B. And as I said, this little piece is extra. So let's just put that to the side. Sorry, excuse me, that's A and B. The next ones are our mats. So again, if you're not cutting mats, don't worry about them. We are going to be using both sides. When we look at the mats, C, D, E, and F, well, most of them are going to be going horizontally. Only one is going vertically. So I think I'm going to cut mine with the top of my paper again at the left, and we are going to cut these at 4 1/4. And I'm going to cut both of these. You can see E and F are also 4 1/4. What's good about that is you get to have 4-inch pictures. This piece here, we are going to leave to the side. That's going to be our circles, and we're going to cut that at the end. So the first one of these 4 1/4, we are going to cut this at 5 3/4 for C. So I'm going to get out my C because I want to keep these labeled. So that's my C. D is going to be the 6 1/4. So you can see there's only a little bit of difference in these. When you're trying to place them down, it's easier to label those. The next 1/4 inch one, we are going to cut at 5 1/4. So remember, this is 5 1/2, so it's the last big one that you can see. So we're going to be at 5 1/4, which is E, and then 6 1/4, which is going to be F. And F we're going to be using the reverse of. So I'm going to turn that one over. Actually, I'm going to go back to C also, because C we are using the reverse of. Okay, let's put those aside. Again, this we're going to cut our circles at the end. Next thing we're going to do for J and K, we are going to get our border maker. And I am actually using the Rose border maker cartridge, which is a chain, and this is directional, so I am going to put the top of my paper on the right hand side, and we are going to cut 2 borders. And I hope these colors go together. It was trying to figure out for the flowers and what I wanted to do, so I'm hoping this all will go together nicely. And we'll need one more. One more border. Okay, I'll put my border. We don't need that anymore. And then we can cut the rest of our paper. And I think it was pretty straight, but you can just double check to make sure that this is straight if you just want to cut off a little bit. But I think when I did it, pretty straight, but you can take off a little bit. So our next one is 4 1/4. And that's, we're cutting pieces L and M at 4 1/4. And then we're going to rotate this piece and cut it at 5 3/4 and 6 1/4. These two I didn't label since there was only 2 of them. We'll know, we can tell which one is bigger, so we'll leave those 2. I did not cut N, O, and P. N, O, and P is here, and it's going to be used for journaling. Especially if the back of your paper isn't conducive to journaling, I am going to use the write-on stickers for doing my journaling up there. So I didn't cut those. So the rest of this is for the circles. So we can just put that aside, and we are finished cutting with the trimmer. So what we can do is, I'm going to get out my mat, and I'm going to get out the 2 papers that we are going to be using, plus our custom cutting system. And when you cut these, leave them on here. I didn't label mine, and it's going to be easier because we're going to put our circles together first before we put our pages to. So the very first thing that we're going to do, and again, you can refer back to the instructions that I've highlighted on the main page, but what I've done is I've actually made little notes, and it's going to be very imperative of which which blade you use first. Sorry, when we're cut. God, I can't talk today. Okay, so the first one that we are going to do is H. Now H, we're going to need the large circle with the blue blade. So remembering that the blue blade cuts the furthest away. And before I go on, let me just show you something so that you're not too worried. Let me bring back my two purple circles from the other page. You can see here that some of my lines I didn't make big enough circles maybe when I was cutting it, and that doesn't matter. Don't worry about that if some of your small pieces are a little shorter. When we put this on our page, we're going to be tucking this in beside some pictures. Let me just get a quick drink. Sorry about that. We're going to tuck it behind, so it doesn't matter, right, if some of these aren't quite big enough. So don't worry about that. So I'm going to put those away. So again, let's go back. We're going to cut H. So we need the large circle inside with the red blade. Okay, so the red blade cuts the closest and the blue blade cuts the furthest away. So what I'm doing is I'm lining this piece up between any line here on your mat so that it's straight. When I put my circle down, I am going more than half, but I'm making sure there's only a tiny little bit of paper that, I mean, that I can see my mat, that paper's not showing through, and that's okay. Don't start at the bottom because you'll rip your paper. So make sure your feet are in the track, and start at the top and go down. And there you go. I already ripped it. Let's go to the other side. My feet weren't in the track. Good thing to show you that. That's what happens when your feet aren't in the track. So again, I'm going to line that up. Feet in the track. Okay, and start at the top and go down and then come to the other side. Start again at the top. Make sure your feet are in and go down. And go slowly because, and hold the bottom paper because we are so close to the edge that it will rip very carefully, very easily. And again, I didn't quite go through at the top, but that's okay. I can clean that up with my scissors. Again, that's the other thing. Before you move it, make sure that you are detached. So some of the little delicate features for the custom cutting system, and I can clean that up. Okay, so this is going to be H, and I'm going to leave that on the top of my page. So now we're going to cut I and G, and we need the medium circle, and we're going to cut red blade inside and outside. Okay, so we're going to line it up. Again, I'm going to line it so that I'm straight. You can go a little bit more, but make sure you have enough room to cut red on the inside and the outside. So we're going to cut the inside first, red blade. Again, starting at the top, make sure the feet are in because I don't have any more paper to mess up. If you want to practice this on other paper, you can do that first. Make sure this one's detached because I'm not detached. And now don't move it when you take out this middle piece. Get my feet in here. And I think I moved it a tiny bit. Okay, so once we have the inside, we're now going to cut red on the outside. And again, holding it tightly, starting at the top. It's always, things don't work when you're recording. It works good when you're not recording. And you always have some issues when you're recording. And again, that top, I'm not getting the top quite enough when I go back. But this is good to show you that it's okay. There's ways that you can fix these. So we're going to line these up, and I'm going to keep these at the side as G and I. Okay, so we have that one. And I will fix that up later. There we go. Now, let's get our other paper. We're down to designer paper number 3, and we're going to do T, S, and Q, and R. So I'm just going to keep those lined up so I know the letters of those so that we can build our circles. So T is going to be down here, and I'm just going to bring it up a little bit, make sure I'm on camera. And again, this one we are going to use, oh, the medium circle, blue inside and blue outside. Okay, so again, blue cuts the furthest away. And we're going to cut the inside first. And what I'm going to do though is just make sure with my blade before I cut that I am not off the paper at the edges. Just make sure you can kind of look underneath and see. Now holding it, again, which has been the hardest part, is holding it without moving, starting at the top. It's like it needs a little clamp. That one's almost a circle. This one we don't need this inside piece. We're going to need this outside piece. So again, starting somewhere at the top with your feet in the track. And we're going to cut this. There we go. Perfect. So that is T, and I got a bigger piece, and that's fine. So that's going to be T. Now we're going to come over to S. S, we need the small circle, blue and red blade. Okay, so we are going to cut the furthest first. Okay, so remember we're going to cut the furthest first, lining up my paper so I'm kind of straight. And we are going to cut blue and red. And let me just check. Let me go back here. So for S, outside with the blue and then outside with the red. Okay, so we're going to go blue first. And this is what takes time for this one. It is a little bit more designs than some of the other ones that we've done. So, and that's okay that this comes off, but don't move this. This is what we're going to want. So don't move this one. Try not to. Now, see, look at that. And I messed that up because I did not have it. And I scratched the paper. And I moved first. And this is the piece that we need. And it's not too bad. We'll see. I have enough I could cut another one. So that is S. And our last one that we need are Q and R, which is inside of the large. And the inside will cut small. We don't need this piece from S. So we are going to go here, line up our paper again. Come off down here. Inside. And we are going to need blue and then red, and then we need both of these pieces. So we are going to do blue first. And this inside piece we need, this is Q, so we do need this piece. So we're going to keep that piece. And then we need the red blade to cut the closest. And this one will be a little harder, so take your time. And make sure I'm detached because I think I have one piece there that's still attached. There we go. And this piece is going to be R. Okay, so let's make our circles first. And I have enough, if I want to recut this piece S that I kind of ripped, I have enough that I can come back and recut that off camera. But let's get our circles attached. So if we turn over, and on the right hand side, we need, and I'm going to open my book so I can see both sides. We are going to need G. So G is the inside of the yellow. We are going to need H, which is this top one. And it tells me to reverse this one. I'm going to reverse one of them, and I don't know which one. I'm probably going to reverse that one. And then I need Q. And Q is the inside of this one. So this is how this circle will look. Now, this one I need to just clean up a tiny bit. I usually just use my fingernail. You use scissors, but then I usually go off track. So I think I'm going to go this way. So we have H, Q, and G. Now don't worry about where the bottom of your circles are. Try to make them so that you have the same distance on each one of these. Okay, so this one might have to go up a bit higher, and that's okay. I'm not going to attach these yet because I want to see when I have it on my page. I might just use a tiny bit of repo so that I can pick it all up as one group. Okay, so let's put that away. That's the one that's going to go on the right side. Now the left side, we are going to start with T. T is this big piece down here. There's a gecko on my screen and he's distracting me. Then we're going to go, so everything is built on here. You're going to go, wow, this looks really weird. I is this big piece, and that's going to come in here. And again, we're just making sure we have the same distance, okay? And again, I'm just going to put a little repo right now just to hold it where I think it's going to go. Don't use too much repo because sometimes it takes off the color if you're pulling it apart. Okay, so we've got T and I, then we need S and R. So S is the one that I kind of have a little rip on here, and then R will go inside. And again, let's just put a tiny bit of repo to hold them. And again, keep saying that. And again, we're looking basically at the distance between those, and I will recut my piece S. So that's going to be the circle that's going to go on our left page. So we are ready to start getting everything dry fit. So let me get, I have one mat that I just use for cutting, and I have two that I use, two 13-inch mats. So I actually have three. These ones I don't usually cut on. Not that it matters, they are, forgiving mats. Put these away so I don't cut myself, so make sure you put those away. Don't end up getting hurt with those blades. And let's get out our two base pages. So we have our two base pages, and then across the middle is going to be A and B. A and B. And let's just put those right now maybe at 2.5. We may move them. Let's just do that for now. Let's get all of our mats. Now, the two from designer paper, number 3, which were L and M, the shorter one goes on the left-hand side. And actually, I'm bringing that now down to 2 inches. This is why I always dry fit first. Okay, the rest of our mats, so let's get them, and we have, this is why I said it would make it easier. This is C, here is D, this one is F, and this one is E. You can't, this one's kind of light to see, but once I get a photo on there, it'll be fine. Our two borders, so my rose borders are going to go down here at the bottom. And then our two circles, or our kind of rainbows, I'll put this here. One rainbow gets tucked underneath, and this is why I said it really didn't matter if they don't line up. You line it up to where it is. Now this is when you might decide to change this. I might want to put D this way since I didn't want the two yellows together, and then I would change that one. So that's your option. Or we could go and we could change the way that we built this one and put the orange at the bottom. And this is why I only used repo, because maybe we do want it to go this way, and then that would also give me an extra journaling. So on the right hand side you have the options of which way you want to line these up. And as I said, the two, the Welcome Baby and the Lullaby Lane, show a different reversal of these of the rainbow on the right hand side. So you decide how you want to have this rainbow built based on your mats. And then on the left hand side, again, I said, because these aren't all the same size, and it doesn't matter because it's going to get tucked underneath piece A, and you can tuck that in as far as you'd like. And then you can see that this outside color matches this mat. this inside color matches this mat, and that's kind of what they have in here. This is the reverse side, and then on the right hand side again, you decide which way you want to build your mats. The other option I was thinking with this page is because Vivid Melodies also had these rainbow edges. So I was thinking, you know, do I want to use those roses, or maybe I want to use some of these borders. And this is what I was going to see. And I actually like the orange better than this yellow, which is white on the back. So again, if you don't need to use a punch, you can come back and see what you have for borders to see if you have something that you'd like to use on your borders. And then for this one, I had some embellishments, not those ones, these ones, the yellow flowers that I thought might look really good. And let's see if it was too much yellow or not. And we'll see where they have embellishments. So actually on this one, they have one embellishment down here in this cluster, which might look good if I keep this the white and use one of these smaller yellow roses. And then I could have a larger one or two up here with some greenery. So there's some options for embellishments. Again, and then pull this one down a little bit, and you've got room to journal up here and do my embellishment there, and then decide which of these borders I want. So I actually do like how that worked out, and I think I have good pictures that will go with here. So most important thing is, don't worry if these aren't all lined up the same way. You will tuck it underneath however you think that will work for you. So this one again is using Vivid Melodies, the butterscotch. The previous one I just did and don't have attached yet. This is using Welcome Baby Purple. And again, my thought for this one, if I do use the white background, is for the teddy bears. And again, that's why it's not attached, because I don't know what I'm going to do. I actually cut these two pieces, and they're just 1/8 of an inch smaller than 1/2 of an inch. And I was thinking I could put it on the tummies of the bears. Don't know if you can see that, so that you can kind of see the bears a little bit more. So I cut two of those that I might do a little bit extra on this one. So that's today's using the project recipe 10. So hope you got some tips on that. Don't worry about using your custom cutting system. It always doesn't go the way you plan it, and if you scrape things, you can always come back and fix those. So again, thanks for joining me today on week 10 of our project recipes. Next week we will be week 11, and this is using the What a Zoo. The original one was Frost. I love this project recipe. I've got the Frost one done to share with you. So we'll see you all again next week. Happy scrapping. Bye for now.